finally time to paint this rusty pile of AMC garbage. I don't know what to tell you all about this part. I'm taping up windows, taking things off. Anybody with two functioning eyes could see that. Anyway, I did all the prep work as best as I'm gonna do it, and now I'm about to spray this thing. As usual, I picked a nice windy day to do this, and I parked in a nice sandy spot so that way that the sand can fly up in the paint job and make it look extra good. I'm also using the non-stick tape. That way it doesn't stick to anything and my plastic falls off. I gotta do something about these door jambs here. Paint's all flaking off and that's a pain in the butt to sand, so I'm gonna do the right thing and sandblast it. And we're off to a great start. Nothing can ever be easy. Have I told y'all about the struggle? You know the struggle. Having to work on your tools so you can get your work done, so then you have to do twice as much work all the time. That struggle. I think I got it good enough for who it's for, so I'm gonna go ahead and shoot some primer over this thing. Went ahead and knocked all the loose flaky paint off the door jambs, and yeah, it looks like crap right now, I knew, but I didn't want to take it down to bare metal. I just wanted to get the flaky paint off. It's gonna be textured anyway, so there's no way you're gonna see all that. It'll be just fine. Got all the body work as good as I want to get it. I think we got it all taped up. I need a couple more of those blankets for the wheels, but yeah, I think it's good for primer. Get the spare metal covered up and then put some color to it. Wow, look at me. I'm actually wiping all the dust off this thing. I usually skip that step. I even used a measuring cup too. I don't even remember doing that. If I were to do this over again, I would not have used black primer. I didn't realize the primer was black until I got it. But then after I had opened it, I remember the people at the paint store saying that they didn't have any gray primer and they only had black. And I was like, okay, whatever. Just blowing them off, not paying attention. But the color that I put over top of it did not want to cover up the black, and it was a pain in the butt. And I think I used way more color than I needed to because of that. But whatever, it is what it is. And I dealt with it and it worked out fine. Just another one of the many ways that the struggle is real. Look at all that overspray. That's probably where all those little black specks on my other truck came from. Oh well, what are you gonna do? I decided to start in the door jambs just because I'd never used this stuff before and I didn't know what to expect out of it. And I was just trying to kind of get a feel for it, how it sprayed and everything. And I figured the door jambs, you probably wouldn't notice it. So I figured that was a good place to start. Not to mention the door jambs were going to take like 18 coats to cover all that mix match paint. I don't know if it was just because of the color that I got or what, but the stuff didn't cover very good. It might just be how it is, but you have to put it on in layers, and it took at least 4 or 5 layers to cover the door jambs, and same with the black paint. This stuff did end up being pretty easy to spray. You just follow the instructions on it and you run a little bit lower air pressure than normal, and it's really easy. I would recommend this to pretty much anybody. If you're thinking about doing this to your truck or car, do it. It's not hard. If I can do it, you can do it. It's really pretty simple. And if you mess it up and you don't like the texture it's putting on, all you got to do is just adjust your air pressure and keep going over it. If you want a really fine texture, you just run a high air pressure. And if you want it like a really rough texture, you run a lower air pressure. And like I said before, don't get in a hurry and try to cover it all in one coat. This stuff has to go on in layers. So put on a layer, work your way around, put on another layer. You got to give it a couple minutes in between so it can kind of tack up. If you put a ton of it on in one spot, it looks terrible and the finish looks wrong and it'll start running eventually. Look at that close up. Put that mustard on that J10. One thing that was a little bit annoying, the straw that goes down in the bottom of that can was like a ½ inch from the bottom, so you had to violently shake the can to get the last little bit out. For never having sprayed this stuff, it's looking pretty good so far. Ooh, maybe I shouldn't shut that. Yeah, definitely shouldn't shut that. Anyhow, you have to put this stuff on in layers. It's starting to cover, but you can see some of the color bleeding through there, but I think this thing's gonna look snazzy. Once I got all the jams out of the way, the rest of the truck went really fast. It took, I think, 3 coats to fully cover it. I probably should have done a 4th, but I ran out of paint, so that stuff's expensive and I wasn't about to go back to the paint store. Well, there we are. Got it all put back together. Paint job turned out pretty decent. It's a little bit dirty right now as I've been driving it. This is a few days later, but I think I got a pretty nice texture on it. It's pretty consistent and looks decent. Hit all my crappy bodywork, which is perfect. Got a little bit of mud on there. Yeah, those tires, they do that, but color turned out kind of interesting. Wasn't quite as gold as I thought it would be, and more of a, I don't know, like a mustard yellow. But anyway, I think it looks pretty good. It's got a little bit of metallic to it. Probably can't see in the camera, but it is a metallic base paint that I put in there and mixed in it. They said not to do that, but I did it anyway. I was even able to make this visor look good again. It was all, there was rust all up in there, and it was pretty rough, but made it look decent again without too much crazy work. All the rust along the bottoms and what was there, it all turned out perfect. Can't even tell. It's not too shabby. Shut up, birds! Yeah, well, I guess they're not gonna shut up. Yeah, I did all this, all in here. I think it turned out pretty decent. Did the roof in white. These old trucks have to be two-toned. They always look good two-toned, or at least in my opinion. I'm gonna eventually, one of these days, paint the Jeep letters the same white as the roof, so they should stand out. And one of these days I'm gonna get up in there and paint inside the fender wells, because they're all half oversprayed and a mess. So, and they're half covered in dirt too. But anyway, for all you patina people, I did leave the dash patina, so it's probably gonna stay that way. I think it looks kind of cool. The white pretty much matches the outside white, so I figured it matches close enough, and I think it looks kind of cool, so I'll keep that. Got some new mirrors. By new, I mean old, but they're different ones. And I did the right thing and installed them twice. Wherever those other dots are. Yeah, put them on there. Wing window wouldn't open. Didn't realize that till I had already drilled holes in the doors, and you know, that's just how these things go. Spend the time to fix the holes for the old mirrors, and then you put more holes in the doors. Did the same thing on this side. That's just how I roll. Do things twice. I know some of y'all are gonna be like, "Ooh, why'd you get rid of the patina? I love the patina, blah, 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 blah." Well, I was tired of it, and it was, the real rust was getting bad. It was a fake patina paint job anyway. This truck, it was green when I got it, like military green, and I hated it. So yeah, the real rust was getting bad. I was getting holes in the doors, holes in the rockers, holes in the bed, and it was, I mean, the 2 years I've had it, it got a good bit worse. So I wanted to stop it, and I don't know, I just thought the gold and white would look cool, and kind of just did it on a whim, and that's that. Some of y'all are going, "Oh, why'd you use bed liner? Ooh, couldn't do good body work, so you had to hide it with that," or blah, whatever. No, I did it because I could drag it through tree limbs and I won't care. I already took this thing trail riding a few times, like down four-wheeler trails, scratched the heck out of it, and can't see a single scratch, so that's why. And it's my truck, I do what I want. If you don't like it, go get your own J10. Anyway, that's enough rambling. Yeah, that's that. Bedliner paint job. Take it or leave it. Good day.